again, everybody, welcome back to an episode of My Isolation Podcast, one of the best media-related podcasts you've never heard of until now. My name is Connor, blah, blah, blah. We've done this before. It's been about a month since it's been about a month since the last episode, I think. Maybe even 2 months by the time this episode ends up getting released. Reason for that was, I moved into a new house. It didn't have a desk. Had this weird shelf thing in the corner, which I used for when I talked about Deadpool and the Epic Mickey one from last time, and it really, really hurt my back. So I was like, right, I need a desk. So I was saving up money to get a desk. It came in, and I'm not joking, the instructions were trying to set it up was a nightmare because the instructions were very, very misleading. I don't know what Panana Home and Garden. I think that's how I pronounce it. I don't know what they were thinking when they put on the instructions that it was going to take about 60 minutes. It needed 2 people, and you needed a screwdriver and a hammer. I got a friend to come over to help me assemble it. It took us 7 minutes. 7, not 60. And a hammer and screwdriver were not needed. So that was a major waste of time. A major waste of time. But it doesn't matter because now I've got a desk, I can start doing this more frequently again-ish, depending on how life and work kind of overlaps and well, you know how it is. If life doesn't decide to not get in the way like it has done a lot this year. But yeah, so today I want to talk about something a little different. Today I was going to talk about The Incredibles 3, if that was a good idea, because that got announced at D23 back during the summer. But then I decided not to. I decided to come up with a different idea, which is, of course, the title of this episode being Rise of the Animated Sequels, which basically means we're going to talk about 2026's slate of animation, because I don't know if you've noticed, but 2026 seems to be compressed of sequels to animated films, and which is very interesting. And I don't know if there's any original film in sight that's coming out in 2026. Maybe that Pixar film, what's it called, the one with the hamster, I can't remember what it's called. Okay, so just on this list, we do seem to have a few films coming out this year. One of those coming out this year, coming out in 2026, that are original. There's an original Disney movie coming out in 2026 that will be interesting to have a look at. And but a lot of it is compressing of mainly sequels, which is great. There's a Cat in the Hat movie coming out from Warner Brothers. Cool. I do not care. But yeah, so let's talk about these movies. I've done a list in no particular order, no best to worst. Let's just I've made a list and we'll talk about each one individually. Starting off with the one, funnily enough, that I am actually really looking forward to. That, of course, being Shrek 5. I've said this before, but I loved the Shrek series, except for Shrek the Third. That film was pure garbage. But apart from that, though, Shrek 1 and Shrek 2 remain just classics. Shrek 3, again, well, as like I said before, is trash. Shrek 4, though, it was actually all right. There was a pretty decent ending to it, to the series that I think was... I think it was needed at the time. I think after Shrek 3, they maybe thought it was just time to wrap things up, and which I can understand. I think the franchise was running out of steam by then. But I am looking forward to Shrek 5. I think this film's been in development for years, though. I mean, originally it was supposed to be 5 films anyway. I think the 5th film was meant to be a prequel, if I remember, to showing how he actually ended up in a swamp to begin with. And for all we know, that could actually be the idea for this 5th film, but I don't think so. I think it'll be something else. It'll definitely be a sequel. I remember, Chris Melandari, I don't think he runs DreamWorks. I think he's like a creative consultant at DreamWorks, though. I think he said something like he didn't want it to feel like a reboot, but also not a sequel. Which, I mean, it's called Shrek 5, so good luck with that. But yeah, for all we know, it could be about the original idea that they had, which was going to be showing how he got to his swamp, like a prequel. But I do doubt that, because I think the guy who wrote, I can't remember his name, he wrote The Boss Baby, Michael McCullers, who wrote the Boss Baby. He's writing the script for Shrek 5. And I think he said in 2018 he wanted it to be a complete reinvention of the series. So that will be very interesting to see. Animation wise, that's kind of the more thing I'm interested in. I think if they do a combination of what they did with Puss in Boots: The Last Wish, I think the animation could look really good. I know some people are a bit worried because DreamWorks have said that they're actually like doing more outsourcing with the animation now, if I remember correctly, and they're not going to be more in house like they used to, which I think has gotten people a little bit worried about how this film's going to look. And I think after Kung Fu Panda 4 came out this year, and well, I've not seen it, so I can't really comment on it, but I know some people didn't really feel like it was that necessary. They felt it was a bit unnecessary, and felt a bit disappointed by it. I think this one, there's been enough time. I think enough time has passed. The last Shrek film came out in 2012, 2011, 2010 actually came out in 2010. So it's been like 10 plus years since the last film. I think it's time to bring Shrek back and focus on him again. Focus on him again, man, because I miss Shrek. I've missed the Shrek series. If I'm being really honest, I think the fact the amount of memes that have been produced from the Shrek series has just been hilarious. And obviously you've got Shrek is Love, Shrek is Life. But I do like the Shrek series though. I mean, I like how there's a parody of fairy tales, fairy tale stories, and how it definitely has a much more kind of twisted, more darker edge on those stories. Particularly with the first film, how it kind of role reversed, how Shrek the ogre is actually the hero rather than the villain, and the and everything. And I love all the in jokes and everything like that. And I think the cast they got for it works really, really well. And I'm glad that they're all coming back for this one. Cameron Diaz, I'm amazed because I think didn't she retire like years ago? And I think she's come out of retirement since then. I think she's got a new film coming out called Back in Action for Netflix, which I'll be honest looks really bad, but for all I know, it could actually be a really good movie. But I probably won't check it out because most of Netflix's original films are not the best. They're just not. They're really bad. Yeah, so it's good that they're all back and everything like that. But again, I don't know what the story is going to be. I think it'll definitely focus on his kids, and if anything, they'll probably be all grown up, or at least maybe in their early adulthood, I would say. And maybe it could be like a bonding story, like maybe he's trying to bond with them um, during the film and everything like that. And it'd be interesting, especially to see like what Donkey's kids are going to look like all grown up. I want and other people will be back there, like Puss in Boots will be back with Antonio Banderas, and because obviously the end of Puss in Boots 2 hinted at what Shrek 5 is going to be. I don't know if it's going to be set in Far, Far Away like the other films, because the last film ended with him back in his swamp. So I kind of hope we see him back there. I'm kind of sick of the Far, Far Away setting. I think they've used that for so many of the films that I'd rather get back to the original setting of the original film. That being, of course, Shrek being an ogre, just sat in his swamp. Uh, what are you doing in my swamp? I don't know why I tried doing a Scottish accent for that. That was actually horrendous, and I'm very sorry to all of the Scots out there who listened to that god awful impression. I think there's a reason why Mike Myers does it better than I do. But yeah, I'm glad Mike Myers is back. It's good to see him getting some more work. I know he went into directing documentaries for a little bit while there because I think people found him a bit difficult to work with as an actor. From what I remember reading up on, and hopefully he's hopefully gets back into it. I think he said today he wants to do a Austin Powers 4. But yeah, I would love to see that. I think another Wayne's World film would be really cool. Maybe in the same kind of style that Bill and Ted Face the Music did, where it was them going on a road trip with their daughters. I think that one could be really cool. Cool to look at. And yeah, but again, Eddie Murphy as Donkey, that's always going to be hilarious to me. I Donkey's the best character, anyways. Apparently, he's getting his own spin-off film though, which I don't really understand. I mean, Puss in Boots, you kind of get it because he's like a cool kind of swashbuckling cat. And he's voiced by Antonio Banderas as well, which is always a plus. Donkey is just he's a good secondary character, but I don't think he'd ever be a good main character. But we'll see what happens with that apparently alleged spin-off, which yeah, that'll be interesting to say the least. And yeah, that's pretty much for my feelings on Shrek 5. Again, it's probably the one animated sequel from 2026 that I'm really looking forward to. I'm very curious about, and it could go either way. It could go really bad. It could go Puss in Boots' Last Wish, or I guess Kung Fu Panda 4. Because from what I've heard, that's not the best. But yeah, I think it would be really cool. I'm looking forward to Shrek 5, and I think it would be interesting to have a look at and to release and to just see how it plays out. Again, it could be good, it could be bad, it might be terrible, but hopefully, fingers crossed, it's it's a decent time. Now let's move on to the next one in the list, and probably the one that I'm not looking forward to is Toy Story 5. I've kind of made no secret in previous episodes that Toy Story 5 is not a. It's just why. Unlike Shrek 5, this is one that we actually have some plot details about. It's going to be about the toys versus technology. Bonnie becomes an iPad kid, basically, and I think, and apparently the main villain's going to be, what was it, 50 Rogue Buzz Lightyears, which is fine, I guess. It's just one of those things where it's just like, what's the point in a fifth Toy Story film? I mean, there was no point for a fourth, and I was not looking forward to the fourth one either. In fact, for years I was saying the fourth film was, I was complaining back and forth about, why are you doing a fourth film? Three ended it perfectly, and I still think three ended it perfectly. But when I saw the critical reception to Toy Story 4, and seeing how good it did critically, I was like, okay, I need to check this out. I need to see what did they do to like get this same level of praise that the other three films got. And I actually really enjoyed Toy Story 4 for what it was. I didn't think it was as great of an ending as 3, but I think it was a decent enough ending where, if they left it at that, I would be fine with it. Unfortunately, though, that's not it, and that ending's going to get ruined with this fifth film, which, again, it's the same thing. I'm just not looking forward to this. And the whole thing of, oh, it's them versus technology, is just that it just feels so. That just feels so. The kind of like the last thing they can think of. It's kind of like if you write down a list of ideas for a new Toy Story film, and this is kind of would be at the very bottom of the list, being, oh, it's them versus technology. Fucking Bonnie becomes an iPad kid. Oh no, like it doesn't interest me. And the whole thing of 50 Rogue Buzz Lightyears, we've seen Buzz Lightyear be a bad guy kind of before, or at least be a problem. We saw that in the first three films. We saw that in the first film where he doesn't know he's a toy. We saw it in the second film where there's that other Buzz Lightyear, the one with the belt and all that stuff. And then you see it in the third film because he gets, I think he gets deactivated briefly, and then he gets reactivated, but he's talking in Spanish. And now it's come to this, and it's like, oh yeah, he's there's 50 of them, and they're evil, and it's like, no, who cares? Like that doesn't sound like it, that just doesn't sound very interesting to me. Again, it sounds like bottom of the barrel, last thing on the list that we can do, and it's just one of those things like there's no reason for this. There's no reason for this film at all to exist. Like, you ended it perfectly with 3. You took a risk with 4. You got lucky with 4. Leave it alone. Leave it be. Come on, man. Like, just leave it be, leave it alone. Like, you don't need, we don't need a fifth Toy Story. We didn't need a fourth one either, but. And I think one of the main reasons why they want to, I guess maybe they're worried that the Lightyear film from 2022 ruined the, I guess, credibility of the franchise, and now they got to build it back up. I don't know. For me, it's just one of the things where I just look at it, I just don't care. I just don't care about this. And it's like, I remember they showed off the logo at D23, and I was like, cool, the logo. I mean, I will say this much about it. I'm happy they're actually sticking with the number 5, and they're not calling it Toy Story Invasion of the Buzz Lightyears or something like that, or Toy Story Technology Takeover, or some cringy subtitle thing. I'm glad they're actually sticking with numbers. There's research that's come out that apparently the more numbered your entries are in your franchise, the less people go see it. I guess animation is kind of the exception. I guess because a lot of these films do have numbers in them. Like, again, Shrek 5 has a number 5 in it. Toy Story 5 has number 5 in it. So I guess for animation, there's an exception for animation, I guess. But again, like, that's probably the only good thing I could say about it. What's also weird about it as well is that Tom Hanks has not really said much about Toy Story 5, like, at all. In fact, no one's been saying anything about it except for Tim Allen. He's the only cast member who's actually been talking about it in interviews, which is really weird because, like, you'd think Tom Hanks would be talking about it more, but he hasn't. And I've not really seen any interviews where he's been asked about it. I can quickly look something up now, but last I checked, he hasn't said. Yeah, I'm just looking things up now, and it doesn't say anything. There's absolutely nothing on here where he's said anything about it. So I think it is just Tim Allen who's just saying things, talking about this film. And even on, like, YouTube, go to the little stinger that they put for for D23. Let's see, like the IGN one. He's the only one that's even mentioned. Like it says Toy Story 5 official teaser trailer 2026, D23 2024, and in between those is just Tim Allen's name. Like there's no Tom Hanks, there's no whoever voices Jessie. I can't remember her name at the moment. There's no like there's no one else. It's so weird to me that he's the only one who's actually speaking about talking about this film, who's like acknowledged this film is happening and it exists. It kind of makes you wonder, do the other cast members just not care that much about it? Did they think, oh, 4 was a good ending, we don't want to come back for a 5th, but we'll do it anyways because it's a decent enough paycheck. Andrew Staten directing it. I mean, he directed some good Pixar films. I believe he did. Which ones did he do? He did. Let's see. He did Finding Nemo, the original. That was really good. Wall-E, which was exceptional. I love that film. Finding Dory, which was also really, really good. And yes, so he's a good choice to direct it, I guess. Because obviously Josh Cooley was off doing Transformers 1, which is a really good film, by the way. I can't believe that film bombed. Transformers 1 is such a good film. I would recommend anyone, if it's still playing in your local cinema, go see it. Like it's a good film, Transformers 1. I wouldn't be surprised if it turns to be better than Toy Story 5 again, but again, it's just I'm just not interested. Again, this just feels so like bottom of the barrel, last thing on the list, last thing you can possibly do with this series. It's predictable as well, I guess. It's just not interesting. It doesn't interest me whatsoever. And that's why Toy Story 5 is probably the one animated sequel from 2026 that I'm just not looking forward to. I'll pretty much do the same thing I did with 4, which is wait for the critical reception, and if the critical reception is overwhelmingly positive, then and then I'll go see it. And when I say overwhelmingly positive, I mean like 96% on a Rotten Tomatoes score or something like that, and then I'll go see it and give it a chance. But if the critical reception to this turns out to be bad, then it might just be time to put these toys back in the toy box and lock it and just leave them there. Just leave them there. They don't need any more attention. So let's move on to the next animated sequel in 2026. I'm actually really looking forward. This one I'm actually really looking forward to. That of course being Super Mario Bros. 2, the sequel to last year's animated Mario Bros. Movie. Again, I've already spoken in length about some of the things I want to see. Less fan service because whilst it was great for the first film, I can look past it for the first film because that was their first go at doing a film in like 30 plus years. I think that if you focus on more of like references and stuff like that, it will start to get old and not feel special anymore. That's kind of one of the main reasons why I love Star Wars projects nowadays are just not really hitting people in the nostalgia bones like where it should be. Because they're so crammed with references, so obsessed with their own past, not trying anything new or anything different. It's just more of the same. And I've said this before, but fan service is a lot like cake. I love cake. I love eating cake. But if I have too much cake, I get sick of the cake. And it's the same thing. And fan service, it's the same thing. I love a little bit of fan service. It's sprinkled here and there. Like it feels like something special. But if I get too much of it, I start to get sick of it and overwhelmed and overdosed by it. So I'd rather they cut down on the fan service from the first film. A couple of references here and there, but not have to rely too much on the fan service. I think the first film did a good job getting audiences, getting butts and seats basically, and I think they've already established a core enough demographic that will happily come back for the sequel. Second thing I want to see is an actual story this time, like an actual story with an actual 3-part structure, with actual themes and much more deeper themes. Again, because I think I can forgive it for the first one because it's again first go at doing it in 30 years. I can understand why I went a little bit simple and a little bit basic with it, but I think for the sequel they really need to go up with it and really actually elevate the story. There's tons of Mario games out there you can definitely pull story beats from. A lot of the RPGs like Super Mario RPG, the Mario and Luigi series, the Paper Mario series, for one thing. Even Mario Galaxy has a pretty decent enough story. You can maybe pull stuff from that. I'd love to see the Peach backstory kind of resolved, see who she is, where she originally came from, and maybe not be too afraid to make some changes as well for the adaptation. It was good seeing a Mario Bros. Film that was more accurate to the game that it's based on. But I wouldn't mind if they took a bit more creative liberties with it, with the changes that can be made. Like again, maybe you could make Peach and Rosalina related, like maybe they're sisters, and maybe that's where Peach is from. I think that was originally meant to be their idea for Rosalina. In general, like she was supposed to relate to Peach in some way, but they changed it last minute because they didn't want to do it in the end. Um, that could be a thing. You could bring Bowser back, have him be the main villain. It'd be interesting, kind of, to develop him and Mario's rival. You know what I mean? That they're enemies basically. And because in the last film they didn't really meet until the very end, which is okay, I guess. But I'd rather maybe establish that conflict between the two of them much sooner and focus a bit more on it. Maybe focus a little bit on Mario and Luigi's relationship themselves. Like maybe this could be maybe a bit more of a Luigi focused film, like having him become a bit more braver, a bit more of his own independent person. He doesn't need to rely heavily on his brother anymore and everything like that. And maybe that could threaten Mario a little bit. Like maybe he would start to feel a bit lonely, because it's always just been him and Luigi, him and his brother, the Mario brothers together. So Luigi may want to go off and do his own thing at some point and not really want to do plumbing work anymore, which would be interesting to see. Obviously, more of their family as well, like their mom, their dad, more of their cousins and their extended family a little bit more. I thought that was really great. We got to know him a little bit more in the sequel. Maybe even give their dad a bit more of a starring role. Why not? Like, he's voiced by Charles Martinet, so fuck it. Why not? Give their dad more to do, man. Make him a playable character in Mario Kart as well, and Smash Bros. And all those other games. What else as well do I want to see from a Mario Bros. Sequel? I think that's pretty much all I want to see. And again, like we've already got some concept art from a Mario Bros. Sequel that leaked earlier with them in the desert. So I think that could be interesting way to start off with. That could be a hint to Sarasa Land, so maybe Daisy could be in this one. I think that could be cool. Maybe she's related to Peach. Again, like little changes like that, I could be really happy about and really grateful for. And yes, that's pretty much the second one that I'm looking forward to in 2026. I think this and Shrek 5 are the two I'm really looking forward to in 2026. The next film we're talking about will be Ice Age 6. Um, I get this is not like Toy Story 5. This just feels very unnecessary and just very a bit not in great taste, considering Disney closed Blue Sky a couple of years ago, back in 2021. And then suddenly now it's like, oh yeah, we're going to pick up this franchise. We're going to do this ourselves, and which I guess cool. I guess the thing with the Ice Age series is that I love the first one. I think it's like most people. I love the first one. It's one of my favorite films from early childhood, and it still holds up today. And the animation's a bit dated, obviously, but I do think that it still holds up. I think there's a great amount of emotional weight in that story. Like you go back and watch the first one. There's a lot of emotional weight and a lot of emotional weight with that first film, particularly with Manny and his family and everything, and how it was just a nice, simple, charming film about these three mammals trying to get this kid back to his dad, which I really enjoyed. I really liked. The sequels, on the other hand, were just shit. All of them were terrible. I think the third one came the closest to being good, but the rest of them were just awful. I watched the rest of them here and there, like if I was at home one day and they were on like Now TV or something, I'd check them out of curiosity, just to see how if they are any good. But they're just not. They got too full of like way too many characters as well. Like by the time you get to like the fifth film, it was like how many characters were in that? Like at least like too many to count, and it's just one of those things where it's like, can we go back to like where just being the three of them, please? Like, please. I'd love that. I will say though, I'm not looking forward to this, but I'm very intrigued by it, because obviously this will be the first one that Disney's done completely by themselves, unless you count the thing they did at Disney Plus. What was it, Adventures of Buckwild thingy they did for Disney Plus, which was, I watched the first 10 minutes of that. I turned it off because it was awful. it was awful, and the animation for it was just so bad, just really bad. The fact that Simon Pegg was the only actor from the films that they could get back, and everyone else was voiced by someone else. It was just a bit. I don't know. It was just a bit shit. It just seemed a little bit shit. I just didn't care for it all that much. And but yeah, I am intrigued by it. I quite like the logo for it though. I quite like how it's printed on the ice, and then you got Ray Romano making the little stick symbol in the snow. And you look at it, like you look at the logo as well, like that kind of already intrigues me a little bit. Like it kind of, but yeah, you look at the logo, look how different the six is, because normally they put them in like big bulky like iced like letters and stuff like that. Usually with these films, but you got this one where it's written where it's imprinted in the snow, and the six is uh drawn in the snow. And that looks really cool to me. In terms of like what the story could be, honestly, bring back the kid from the first one. Just do it. Why not? Bring him back, make him an adult. Maybe he's trying to find them. Maybe they're trying to find him. Just go back to how the first one was, with the more dramatic and emotional kind of weight that the first film had, because that's what a lot of these sequels just lack. I mean, the second one kind of had that still, the third one as well, but then you get to the fourth and it was gone. It was it was just gone. Like the first the first one generally was really emotional, and I kind of wish we went back to that. I'd love to maybe see Scrat not be in this. I think they've done everything they can with him, but apparently, according to the Wikipedia page, he is set to be in this, along with the baby Scrat that they had from the Scrat Tales from what was that? When did that come out? That came out in 2021 as well. No, it came out in 2022 actually, which I think was the last big project that Blue Sky worked on. I've not actually watched any of those shorts, but I mean, I'm not really interested to be honest. Um, but who knows? It could be good. This could surprise us. Maybe the change in leadership, the change of studio, that of course being Disney doing this rather than Blue Sky. Maybe it could work out for them. Blue Skies. I feel like the other films just felt like they were like the sequels to the first film just felt like the kind of placeholders, like the money makers to keep the lights on while they worked on the projects that they actually wanted to do, that being things like the Peanuts movie, Epic, and supposed to be Nimona until Disney cancelled that and Netflix took over and all that stuff. But I don't know. I mean, I'm intrigued. I'm more intrigued by this than Toy Story 5. But that's not saying much. This is one of those it's just one of those wait and see moments for this one. I like the idea I like the fact it's coming out in December though, December 18th, I believe it's coming out. I think it took over the Rey Star Wars movie that was supposed to come out during that date. That's been removed and it's now coming out. December, because normally these films come out during the summer for some reason. I'm not too sure why. That they're ice themed, they're snowy themed. Like Christmas is usually a perfect time for these films, but I guess now they're going back to that, which would be nice to see. Um, glad of the cast are coming back for this one. It'll be nice to see them, I guess. Again, we'll see how it is, but I think my main takeaway is I hope they go back to the emotional kind of weight that the first film had and go back to basics of the first film. Keep it small, keep it simple, because the plots really did just get too wacky and too out there. You had you went from the first film, which was again this simple, charming little film about these mammals trying to get the baby back to his dad. Simple, easy, charming, wonderful. And then you get the second one where it's like, oh, there's this big flood that's happening in their valley and everything like that. Then you get the third film, which is, oh, there's this underground lair where these dinosaurs live. Then you get to the fourth film where it's like, oh, there's this world has pirates now on ships. Uh, and then you get to the fifth film and it's like, oh, there's this comet in space and it's coming down to kill them all, and they have to redirect it or destroy it and something like that. And yeah, just go back to simple, go back to basics, go back to easy, go back to simple and charming, please. Like that's the only thing that I want from this particular sequel. And the last sequel on the list is Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 2, or Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Mutant Mayhem 2, the sequel to the Teenage Mutant Turtles film that came out again last year, as well, which I already did a video on back when it came out. And again, I really enjoyed it. I thought it was a really funny, really entertaining, and really charming kind of film. We kind of already slightly know what the plot's going to be. Obviously, Shredder's involved because we saw him at the end of the first film, or during the end credits of the first film, anyway. So we know Shredder's going to be playing a big part in this, which it'll be interesting to see how these versions of the Turtles go up against him. Because obviously, the thing is that these versions of the Turtles are actually teenagers. They look like him, they act like him. I really liked how the last film ended and picked up with them actually going to high school and being accepted into society rather than seen as freaks or weirdos. Seeing how this version of the up against this version of Shredder, it'll be interesting. I want to see how this version of Shredder, acts because obviously you had this version of Baxter Stockman and Splinter, and which was very interesting. It was a very unique kind of new take on the Turtles that I think was much needed. And it was fresh, it was engaging, and I love seeing this world. The animation I think is really great as well. I love the idea that it was done in the style that a teenager would draw make sketches on their school like notebooks and stuff. I think it was great having it at that animation style as well, very Spider-Versey, and I hope that we get more of that animation style. And the humor was really good in that as well, really charming. I hope we get more of that. But I hope they go a little bit more serious, a little bit more darker with this one. The romance between April and Leonardo, I kind of hope we can kind of continue seeing that. Again, it's a little bit weird though because he's a turtle and she's a human. But it's animation; you can get away with anything. If DreamWorks can make a movie about a bee falling in love with a human, you can pretty much do anything in animation and simply and get away with it. Um, so yeah, I think I am looking forward to it though. I think it's going to be really interesting to see how that sequel plays out. And yeah, again, just really looking forward to it and hope it's just as good as the first one. But I think it will be, and I'm glad they treat their animators well. They allow the animators actual time to get the movie finished and get the movie done. And rather than a lot of other companies who kind of gave them these big mandates and said to them, "You need to get this done by this mandate now." And yeah, so I'm glad that they treat the animators with a little bit more respect than a normal studio would. I think a lot of animators are actually on strike, if I remember correctly. I think because of unfair pay and all that stuff. So I think it'll definitely be interesting to see how this sequel kind of plays out. And yeah, everyone, that's pretty much this episode. A bit of a shorter one for now, not as long as some episodes have been recently. Just trying to get back to the swing of things a little bit with this because now obviously I finally got my desk with me, my nice study new desk, which I really love, and hopefully I can do this a bit more weekly. I've got a couple more episodes to do before the end of 2025. I want to do one about physical media, and then I want to do one about Christmas movies, like rating the best Christmas movies. I'll probably get a couple of guests on for that. Maybe Alex, maybe Dan, who were on previously, and maybe a couple of more people as well who just to talk about what some of our favorite Christmas films. But I do want to do one on physical media first. Talk about is physical media really dying? Which kind of sort of for something it is for some things, it isn't for some things. But hopefully when that episode comes out, we can discuss that a little bit more. I may even get a guest. I may even get a guest for that. To be honest, actually, I think that might be a really cool discussion to have with a guest. Like always, if you've got a film and TV project in the works that you need some help on, visit my website for more details. I'll happily help you out for free. Voluntary film and TV work that you want me to help you out with, give me an email, give me a message, call me, whatever. Actually, don't call me. Just send me an email, please, and I'll come and help you out. But yeah, thank you so much for tuning in, everybody. And like always, I'll see you whenever I see you next. Which, given this track record, it's probably going to be in like 3 months' time. Hopefully not that long, but we'll see. But yeah, see you next time.